I am Slick Nick, and I am the living legend, and I'm just going to say it. I care more about money than you do, by default. And what I've learned in interacting with many of you, you're quick to admit that. I truly care about money in a way that you cannot care, that you cannot appreciate money. Now let me be specific. When I say I care about money, what I'm not talking about is this way that, oh, money means so much to me that I want a big mansion and all these cars and a big garage to show off all the cars and have a boat and a yacht and wear all these flashy clothes. Meanwhile, I'm wearing a white t-shirt and Tommy Hilfiger sunglasses that I got at basically a thrift store for like $8 like a decade ago. There's a difference between caring about money in a way that you know how to control and manage and invest it versus this false, fake American idea of flashiness to make people think that you're rich, to impress people you don't actually care about. There's two different versions of that, and my version is the way that, yes, I do make a decent living. I make good money, and so does my wife, and we've got all our side investments and all of our side hustles. All that's true. But most importantly is how we invest and save our money. I mean, this whole Jeep Wrangler thing. If you lost this part of the story, hear it now, okay? So this Jeep Wrangler, 59,000 miles, 2010 Jeep Wrangler, $15,500 is what I was able to pay for it with cash because I had saved for that money and I was ready for that. And when someone just wanted to be able to stop making payments, I went ahead and here's the money, here you go. I'll take the Jeep, thank you very much. It was an exchange that worked out very good, very well. But with that being said, ultimately I had definitely prepared for that financially. Most people couldn't just float $15,500 to get the vehicle that they wanted and get a good deal on it because they wouldn't just have $15,500 laying around in addition to all the thousands of money, tens of thousands in investments and the tens of thousands of dollars that I've already got in savings in addition to be able to buy that Jeep. It's because, in addition to everything else, it's because of financially planning. Now, I understand 3 minutes into this video, I've lost many of you because you just don't care about money, and that's the point. And I remember being you, if you're still watching, 3 minutes into the video. I remember being in high school, my senior year, thinking, you know what am I going to do for a living? I don't really know. I don't want to be a doctor or a lawyer or anything specific. I think I'll just be a school teacher. So that's my mentality in 1998, 1999, my senior year of high school. I remember specifically thinking, you know what? Money's not everything and I just don't care enough about it. You know what? I'd be happy to just be a school teacher. Yeah, I'll be a male school teacher. I know that teachers don't make a lot of money, but we'd have the summers off and we could live this simple life. Me and my future family that I didn't have at age 17. So when I went to college, it was ultimately to become a teacher. And that's how I started my college degree, my college career. And then I realized a year or two into my college career, you know what though? But if I could do something else, maybe that's even easier in theory, and maybe more money, maybe it wouldn't be that so bad because after all, I'm going into debt tens of thousands of dollars to go to college. And when it was all said and done, I pulled the plug on this whole teacher thing and just stuck with an English degree, which was much more general, but I thought, you know what? I still don't really know what I want to do as I'm in college. What am I going to do for the rest of my life and make money? I'll just get a degree in English and see where that gets me. And sure enough, it landed me in the world of recruiting, which is it's a mix between sales and HR, as random as that seems. Imagining those two careers marrying each other. I'm a salesman and I also work in HR, and it's a perfect mix of those two things. That's what I do for a living, and it pays well. I never planned to do that. I just had this general plan. And so it's funny to see the evolution of me from 20 years ago when I was in high school, because this is my 20th high school reunion coming up in a few months. where I was 20 years ago. I'm like, I don't really care about money. It's just about living the simple life. As long as you have love, that's all you need. That's where I was 20 years ago. And then we've seen this change even a year ago. Process this, okay? So my job before I got this job about a year ago, what I was getting paid, imagine $1, okay? And now I'm making like $1.63. So it's not double, but it's a lot more money than I was used to. So now that I'm making more money, I appreciate money that much more because I have that much more to save and invest. And with that being said, too, let's be clear, we're giving 10% of what we make in our household to our church, which from there helps people adopt children. And that's something our church is very specific about. There are children in China, in Africa, that have no parents. And here in Tennessee, there are families who want to have more children but biologically cannot. And it's a very complicated process to be able to adopt, and it's a very expensive. So part of my family's income goes to help those families be able to adopt. It also goes to helping people in other parts of the world be able to access clean drinking water. So it's not like we're just so greedy that we're actually giving away 10%. And we also financially support a child in South America as well, to make sure that he can go to school and that he's got books and food and that sort of thing. So it's not that we're just these greedy people. We're actually giving away 10% of what we have been able to make financially. Again, I'm wondering how many people are still watching this video 7 minutes into it, because this is so boring of a video if you're 20 years old, because you don't care as much about money, right? You're caring more about, where's my life going? What do I do with my life? When does my life begin? I'm in the waiting room. I'm 20 years old. And then you're nearly 40 and you realize, man, I changed. And it's funny because even in this process of having a true value of money as far as managing it, because if you don't manage money, it manages you. If you don't tell your dollars where to go, they tell you where to go. And you're told in your youth, it's all about love. It's not about money. Don't be a slave to money. But man, if you don't control this thing, it controls you. And then try to find love and sort that out if you don't have money, love is that much more complicated, because without control over your money, that's the thing. When you're 20 years old, it's easy to fall back on something as superficial and pointless as your looks, as if that matters. Your looks are not what are going to pull you through. Your looks are going to be falling apart. Especially the moment you cross age 18, you start losing your looks. Now you can work with what you got, but ultimately, being able to make money, knowing what your skill set is, and investing in that, your education in that, your experience in that, so that you can get to the point where I am, where you're like, you know what? I'm not worried about money anymore, but I am paying a lot of attention to it. And yeah, I make $300 a month off of this channel on YouTube, and over $100. Like my wife just told me, it was like $426 we made last month from my 2 YouTube channels, and that's only one side hustle I do. I have other side hustles that arguably make more than this, and that's in addition to a job that pays very well, my wife included. We care about money. We're at a point where, like, hey, we're millennials. We've been told that there's going to be no Social Security for us, so therefore we're looking at all these ways to invest in our future. With all that being said, I'm making a 10-minute video that most of my viewers cannot appreciate, do not care about. And the point of this video is ultimately this. When you're young, it's hard to care about money the way that a guy who's pushing 40 cares about money. And no matter what I've said in this video, ultimately, you have to experience life enough to realize that all that garbage you're told about, it's just about love. Man, see, that's the thing. Money matters. It's not about being a greedy person who just cares about money. But you realize how much freedom you have in your life the moment you start figuring, hey, as a man, this is going to be a big part of your identity. I'm going to close with this story. And maybe the difference in age and life experience will expose where we're at in different parts of life. I'm driving home from work today, and imagine that I'm not a greedy person. Imagine I'm actually doing something kind. There was like this awkward like intersection where there were all these cars trying to turn in front of me to get over here. And I'm the guy that actually lets them through. If I see there's 4 cars that need to turn but are waiting on this lane to let them through, I let them through. I'm like, we're already, like, there's a lot of traffic. So I blink my lights at them, come on. And one of the people I let through was this guy driving. It was like a brand new Dodge Charger or something like that. It was some kind of sports car. And maybe it was a Mustang, maybe it was a Camaro. This guy comes through. And I see that on top of his car, it's like Papa John's or Pizza Hut or whatever. He's delivering pizzas in this brand new car that he's clearly making payments for. Do you see the irony in that? I definitely do. The point of that story is, if you're delivering pizzas for, even on the side, should you really be making payments on a brand new car, trying to impress people with this sports car that you can't really afford because you're delivering pizzas? If that's not ironic to you, then that's only further proof that you can't relate to where I'm coming from. Nick Shell would say if you're delivering pizzas, then you should be driving in an old Toyota, an old Honda to deliver pizzas in, not a fancy new car. Nick Shell says if you're ever going to buy a boat, it should be because you're giving tours or rides and making money from that boat. These are the ways of Nick Shell, that I am Slick Nick and I am a living legend. And if you're still sticking around after 12 minutes, slow clap for you. Comments, they belong right here.